And things only got better from there. Eventually, after living with my parents for those 7 months, I was able to save enough money for rent to get my own place for my son and I, an adorable little cabin in the woods that I knew would be good for us. Good, but not exactly comfortable. What running water there was absolutely filthy to the point that you had to boil it if you wanted to drink it. That is, assuming it hadn't frozen over solid by the Canadian winter. The cabin was infested with ants, and for the first 2 weeks I lived there, I woke up to them falling on my face more times than I could count. And they were like carpenter ants. They bite, but eventually got those out of the cabin. It took a lot of effort. Again, it wasn't comfortable, but it was good for me because it grounded me in reality. It showed me what people have to deal with when they're barely scraping by and they have dependents. You don't really see that when you're a gag influencer traveling the world and living off the internet bullshit economy. You never have to deal with the same landlord struggles or the crippling financial burden of taxes without an accountant to shield your assets. You never have to really work, which might have given you a bit more sympathy for the working class had that been the case, like it did for me in this situation, much to the chagrin of my pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of followers. And more than being a good, hard lesson in reality, this experience living paycheck to paycheck with only other sufferers for company was truly unexpectedly beautiful. You see, the cabin was actually located on a massive property, and I was not the only person living off the land there because we had fallen on hard times. In fact, I wasn't even the person who had fallen the hardest necessarily in my surroundings. It was, for lack of a better term, a trailer park I was living in. And some of the people there didn't even have trailers. Some of them just lived out of their cars or vans, or, as in the case of one absolute legend, rented a shed with a tarp over it. If you're like the spoiled influencer I was once upon a time, you probably can't imagine how that could be beautiful. You're still part of a world where people assume that people at a trailer park are all unemployed drug addicts, hookers, or future victims of a serial killer. You might even assume that those people are just trash waiting to be dumped in a landfill. How, you wonder, could this situation I was in possibly be beautiful? Well, it was. You know, those stereotypes you have in your head, those stereotypes I may have had in my head, dead wrong, I'll tell you right now. In that environment, one that most people would regard as forsaken, I found something precious. After years of talking about this longing and this need for community, I finally got to experience it. Eventually, all of us would meet each other, knock on our doors, have chats about the day, and we started gathering for bonfires down by the water in the middle of the woods almost every night during the summer. A community dinner or drinks where we'd all bring stuff to share. And my son and I would come out, we'd play by the river, go for walks in nature, sing and dance every night at this fire with all of these incredible people that just took us in and loved us. They would show him how to collect firewood, play catch, climb trees, all of it. And everyone there would just help each other out, not for reward, but out of genuine love and just care for one another. For example, people always let me know that.
I think one of the things that, first off, I haven't been saying much because I really do appreciate this section of the story. And like, this is super, super, super vulnerable what she's doing. And I really like have a deep, sincere appreciation for the fact that she's done it. Um, but what I was thinking about was, I mean, I've said it like a million times. I never planned to be on the internet. This was not part of my life plan. This is something that happened and I kind of rolled with it. And I wanted to use it as an opportunity to like help people and serve like in a different way. And I haven't always been perfect about it. God knows that. And I never will be perfect about it. God knows. But like this was not part of my life plan. Like being around all the people that I was around in like 2020 when I was like more so in that political garbage was not part of my life plan like at all in any way. And I think one of the things that led to a lot of the struggle and the conflict that I've had with people like publicly is the fact that I came from like a different world where It's not what Lauren is describing, but it resembles more what Lauren is describing. And I had that type of experience before. I had that type of experience of community. I had that type of, and that was honestly like the bulk of my experience in the world. It was like I had people I could rely on. I had people that would, just like show up and help each other and support each other, and you just do it because it's like the right thing to do, and it just like that's, and you don't even think about it, and you don't think to like question the motives of people because everyone's just doing it. It's just it is what you do. You're just like you try to be like a good person, right? And so I came like Lauren became like an influencer when she was like really young, right? My YouTube channel grew when I was 40. And I have said a million times, I thank God every single day I did not get on the internet when I was young. I thank God for that. Or I mean, I was on the internet, but I didn't have like a platform or anything. And so like she didn't experience this type of thing until after she experienced all the bullshit with the internet. I had experienced this type of thing before the bullshit for the internet. In fact, and again, it's not the same thing. It wasn't like it like my journey is not like it's not exactly the same. I mean, obviously, I'm 29. I don't know, like I'm 29, like should I like 40? Fuck, I misspoke. I am obviously 29. All right, but I had experienced something more similar to what she's talking about as my only kind of like adult life experience before I got on the internet. And so when I started being around all of these bullshit, inauthentic influencers, I made the assumption without even thinking about it or considering it that it was the same thing. I didn't know it was different. And so I would go into situations again, just trying to help people, be supportive, like whatever. That's what you do. And when I applied that same principle to these insane people who are desperate to be famous on the internet. And Mike Harlow, I'm looking at you, you goddamn fucking piece of human garbage. Those were the first people that would stab me in the back if they saw an advantage to it. Those were the first people who, without even thinking, would twist things out of context, use every opportunity to try to destroy me because it was going to grow their fledgling YouTube channel because I'm the most successful thing they've ever talked about on their YouTube channel, Mikey. So I truly had no idea how, I mean, selfish, narcissistic, ego driven, fame whore. I had no idea how bad people were in this world. And so when I would get like basically like run over by these people who I had helped and I had supported, and I was, again, you do it because it's like the right thing to do because that is the world I came from. I would be really, 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 really offended and really pissed off because I didn't realize that I was existing in a different ecosystem. Because when you're in it, it's easy to look in from the outside onto someone's life and say, oh, I understand what's happening here. But when you are in your life, when you are in your experience, it's really hard to kind of like detach and look at it from an outsider perspective. Now, I realize all of this now, but back then, like, I mean, truly, I did not understand. And so I think I understand what she's talking about here.
They felt safer on the property, which was crawling with bears because I had guns there. They could call me up if they needed me. Others had plumbing or cooking skills that could help out. And it was literally the type of group where I could text someone for a cup of sugar and they'd bring it over so we could all have cookies together and dance to King Harvest, whatever it was at the bonfire. To a right winger, this would seem like communism. In fact, many of us joked that we were just waiting for a hippie cult leader to come along, but they never did because to a left winger, I'm sure we just looked like a bunch of trailer park deplorables. Maybe we were, but that environment was home.
Everybody here is out of sight, but they don't bark and they don't fight. They keep things moving. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight, dancing in the moonlight. Everybody's real warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight. Everybody dancing in the moonlight. We like our fun and we never fight. If you can't dance and stay uptight, it's supernatural. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight.
Lauren, what did you just do?
Dancing in the moonlight. Everybody real warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight. Everybody dancing in the moonlight.
And I will say, the type of people you find in these environments, you never know what their pasts are going to be. Some people just didn't have to live there, but chose to be there because they wanted to escape from it all, like the rat race of society that constantly has demands put on us all of status symbols, and you have to be getting more money, and they just, screw that, I'm going to go live in nature with all these people. Others have extremely dignified pasts, like you wouldn't believe, incredible educations and jobs. Some people lost those jobs during COVID because of lockdown policy, and rental prices are just ridiculous in Canada. So my judgment of places like that has been completely flipped on its head. There's a lot more going on there than what people's assumptions would say. And as for me, you might wonder what these people thought of my job and what I did. Well, they didn't care. I wasn't Lauren Southern, scourge of the libs, baby boomers, immigrants, and Islam. I was just Lauren. That's it. And I liked being just Lauren there. Just Lauren did a lot more for her community than Lauren Southern ever did. Because as just Lauren, I didn't have the luxury of being a brand. I was actually just a human being, just me. And that was pretty damn cool. I think the best part of being in that community was the kind of people who live there and, can relax and just have a fire every other night are people who aren't interested with power. And that is the complete opposite of the political world I've spent most of my life in. And I think among people who are not interested in power is where peace is found. That's certainly where I found it in my life, the most I've seen in my life, for sure. Today, I have gotten my feet back under me and moved away from that world, tragically, but it will always stay with me, and with it has come a lesson that I desperately needed. That just as benevolent sexist attitudes don't automatically make someone a good husband, ideology doesn't create community. Ideals don't make a positive community. Shared needs and struggles do. And while I am back in the comfortable world where water runs year-round and central heating works, I will never let myself become so alienated from reality again. I will never forget what community truly is again. And on that note, it would be remiss of me not to thank some of the people who form my community today, because on top of the community I joined in the woods, in the trailer park, there were others who helped me during these rough periods. I got to rebuild a lot of the relationships I had from childhood before I got into politics. And a lot of those girlfriends came out to help me set up my home, just loved me, showed immense support to me. Olivia, shout out. You all know who you are, and thank you very much. And while I kept it all pretty private, there were a few people in the political world who helped me navigate this all and helped me during what was a total emotional and mental breakdown for me. I want in particular to thank Evelyn Ray, who some of you may know through her Twitter account or the videos she's done. She was there for me through so much of this all, literally giving my son and I a bed to sleep in whenever we needed it, feeding us, one of the few people I knew in Australia. And I cannot speak highly enough about that woman. She is an incredible soul. I am forever thankful for her and everyone else in the political world. Once again, you guys know who you are. It It means a lot to me that you kept my secret and helped me navigate some really insane waters. I'm now at a point where I've built up such a wonderful group of humans around me that I truly believe we have created the best life possible with our current limitations for my son and I, and continue to do so every day. If the right wing world I was a part of in my life was correct about anything, it was definitely, at least for me, that being a mother is the most fulfilling and beautiful aspect of my life. It really is. There isn't a day I wake up regretting the way that my life went when I see my son. Sorry. I would not take back a single thing that has happened to me
Good for her.
because I get to see my son smile every day and tell me that he loves me every day. It's like the most incredible thing in the world. Wouldn't change it. It is truly one of the deepest joys that I've found in life. You know, life is still a struggle. I've got legal debt. I am not rich by any stretch, but I have learned well that making money, the most important thing in one's life, can eat your soul. And I rather like having a soul, even if it is in rehab. I also certainly don't have that wonderful right-wing Valkyrie trad wife image that is so nice to curate anymore. But you know what is nicer than having a good public image? You know what ultimate irony God threw at me so as to deliver me from the 9 circles of social media? It took me losing my marriage and the false image of myself I had created to finally encounter and really feel real love. And that was sure as hell worth it, and still is. I think I'm probably going to take a little bit of a break from doing videos for a bit, maybe a few months. Enjoy the summer, let this sink in with my audience. But when I get back, I think I want to include a lot more honesty in my videos, a lot more real me and the experiences I've had in my life. Honestly, some of the best, most educational, funniest stories I have to tell are ones that I've never told anyone because they don't fit neatly into any sort of narrative. And also, some of them are just things that I'm like, oof, I don't think I can talk about this for like 10 years because it's a bit crazy. Ask me about my trip to the Arctic Circle at some point. That was a wild one, but ask me in like 5 or 10 years. And I'm excited. I'm just excited to share a bit more of what the real world is like rather than what I feel we're expected to say as political influencers and characters on YouTube. I don't really want to be that. I've woken up at 27 and decided this is
She's only 27.
sticking with the talking
Jesus
points isn't necessarily
Christ.
what I want to do with my life.
She's
I
only
think there's a lot
27.
more depths that I've discovered in my personal life that I think I can bring to the internet too. But yeah, like I said, I'll probably
That's
take a bit of a break. I
mind-boggling.
appreciate you all watching this. I have no idea how this is going to land. Probably your guys' reaction to my whole truth video is the one thing that made me confident enough to make this one because I didn't expect that to land well at all. And it really seemed a lot of you enjoyed the honesty and felt the internet needed more of that. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you who have supported me through these years, through all this chaos. I apologize if you feel lied to with everything I've kept a secret, but I hope you can understand it's been something I've had to process and work through to get to this point of joy with my life and comfort and mental healing to be ready to tell the world and bring you in on my journey. But I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone who has stuck around, and I hope that some of my journey that I've shared resonates with you. I look forward to reading your comments and seeing if it did. But yeah, I'm going to go head out and play with my kid and Olivia, go to the beach. It'll be good. Have a good one.
Oh, wow. Good for her, man. Good for her. It is mind-boggling to me that she's only 27. You know, there's something called the Saturn return that it's like an astrological thing. I know not all of you are woo, but whatever. But like essentially the Saturn return happens like every 30 years. And basically what it kind of like means is that like every 30 years you are going to go through some massive effing life changes. And your life prior to your Saturn return and who you are like when you're 27, 28, 29 is going to be just turned on its damn head when your Saturn return hits. and we all go through this, but like the fact is she hasn't even hit her Saturn return yet is my point. And so it'll actually be really fascinating to see what happens. And I hope she keeps this up. I really do. I hope she keeps on telling the truth about what's going on and being authentic. Thomas says, will we have a stream where you break down all the hit pieces that got wrote about her because she exposed her life like this? I have no idea what you're talking about, Thomas, because I haven't looked at them. To be honest, I really, unless I'm watching something on my channel that's been like sent to me by like a bunch of people saying, Carlin, you need to watch this, you need to watch this, you need to watch this. I really don't interact with content around this stuff. So I have no idea what you're talking about. Maybe I'll do some Google searches, but it would actually be interesting for me to kind of like, I guess, see the reaction to that. But I thought that was I thought that video was fabulous. I really did. I like that. I like the honesty. I like the authenticity. I think the internet needs a lot more of that. I really hope she didn't get raked over the coals too badly for it, although I'm sure she probably did get quite a bit of grief over it. And I guess, like, you know, when I decided to go down this like YouTube road, when all of a sudden like I had just kind of like I had the YouTube channel, but I wasn't really doing anything with it. And it was funny because like it was only like a month or so prior to me accidentally going viral on the internet for politics that I actually had started kind of like adding content to YouTube. I really like it, and once I went viral for that Trump rally thing, like my YouTube channel just grew massively, like really, really quickly. Like, I mean, like tens of thousands subscribers, like overnight. There were points when I was getting like, over 1,000 new subscribers a day. Like it was a lot. And and when all that happened, I was like, well, you have this now. What are you going to do with it? And I made a commitment to myself that if I was going to do this YouTube thing and I was going to do this internet thing, then my only goal really was to articulate an authentic human experience above everything else. And that is something that I think I've done, and I think I've stayed true to that goal. And that's something I'm very proud of, but it is also the thing that has caused me so many problems and so much heartache and so much anger and so much stress. And like, I'm almost crying just thinking about it. I didn't expect how hard it was going to be an authentic person on the internet. I really didn't expect it. I had this crazy idea that people valued authenticity, and I do think people do, but when you are authentic and you do show the reality of life and the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, the anger, the sadness, the outrage, the like whatever, like et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, like all parts of it. When you bring authenticity, you also create enemies because the people that hate you the most, you are reflecting back to them every single thing that they are not. Do you know why I have a list of like really like about a dozen like influencers who just hate me more than anything on the planet, and these people are just like they are obsessive in their hatred over me. Not so much anymore, but like they were like for about like a good 2 years. They really were. Every once in a while now. It's really gotten a lot better lately. But if you look at that list of people who just complain about me and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all this bullshit, they are also some of the most inauthentic people on the fucking internet. And you can tell that. I can tell that. I mean, I hope you guys can tell that. And so I really think, and I could be wrong about this, this is just my intuition, I guess, that the reason that they hate me so much, it's not grounded in reality. It's not it's not based on anything that I really do. It's not based on anything that I really say. These people don't even know what I really do. They don't even know what I really think. They don't watch my content. They don't listen to it. They don't read my Substack. They don't listen to my podcast. They don't do any of this. So it's not grounded in reality. It's based on something else. And the only thing that I can think is that I have reflected back to them what they maybe wish they could be doing, but cannot bring themselves to do because they're too desperate to be famous on the internet and have the perfect pretense and the perfect facade, and they just want to have this ideal version of themselves out on the internet. And me coming, and I, like, you guys see, like, I mean, you don't see everything about me, obviously, but like, I think I'm more real than most people on the internet in that I if I'm angry, you will know it. If I am having a bad day, you will know it. And I think the fact that I'm not afraid to do this stuff, even knowing it will cause problems, even knowing that these assholes are going to use it against me, it reflects back to them everything they're not, but kind of probably wish they could be. It's like an unlived self sort of thing. And I think that that's what drives the hate because it's not grounded in reality at all. It's not there's no rational reason for how much, like, it's not like she blocked me on Twitter. Like, why are you that angry and that obsessed with someone who blocked you on Twitter? I mean, does that seem a little ridiculous to anyone else? Seems a little ridiculous to me. So I say that because I really do hope Lauren keeps going down this path. She's only 27 years old. God damn. And I really do, because I do think that the internet needs more of this. I think that the more people who are authentic, the easier, the more people who have authentic journeys in the public, the easier we make it for other people to be their authentic self because we show them that it's okay. And I can't think of a more painful life experience than going through life pretending I'm something I'm not because of what people on the internet will think. I want to be able to give people permission to, like, be yourself, be imperfect, like, have your ups and your downs, know that you can always get through it. Um that's what I would prefer to do, and I think that, like, the more people that are doing that, the better the world will be. I mean, for lack of, like, not to sound too cheesy, but, like, come on. Rottweiler, I thank you for the super chat. I'd say she had a Horus moment, and like Horus, she saw the evil in the world and lost an eye, metaphorically, yet she came back stronger. I mean, I think she absolutely did. She lost more than an eye, it sounds like. She's been through the goddamn ringer, and, good for her. And moving into that trailer park, it sounds like it was, like, the best thing that ever could have happened to her. And you know what's funny about life, though, is, like, again, being that I'm obviously 29, but maybe I'm intellectually 42, but, like, I'm obviously 29, right? But intellectually I'm I've jumped times, and, like, intellect my brain is 42 even though everything else is obviously 29. Um when you look back on life, and I know I'm not, like, I'm about to sound like I'm, like, a senior citizen and I'm, like, going to the old mic and I'm, like, preparing to die or something like that. That's not what I'm talking about. But, like, when you look back on a longer time range of experience, um, you start to see the things that you perceived to go badly at the time suddenly make sense. And you can see, this negative thing happened to me, but it led me to this. This negative thing happened to me, but it led me to this. This negative thing happened to me, but it led me to this. This negative thing happened to me, but it led me to this. And you start to see that there's a logic for how all this works. And it really does actually help in the long run when you're able to have the perspective to say, I thought that was the worst possible thing that could happen to me, but that thing led me to achieving something that I would not have been able to achieve without that negative thing happening to me. So Lauren has this experience of like she meets this guy, the wrong guy. She falls in love. She gets married. He turns into a dick. He leaves her. She has to go home with her tail between her legs, has no money, has to move in with her parents. Well, guess what? And that sucks. And I don't want to diminish any of that because you could obviously tell that that was very real. And I don't want to diminish like what that experience was. But the fact that all that happened led her to living in that trailer park. And the fact that she lived in the trailer park led her to finding the community that she was always looking for. Sometimes the universe works in mysterious ways, man. Sometimes God is going to show up in ways that you least expect it. When you are at your lowest low, when you've given up, when you're just like, I got nothing, dude. I got nothing. And I have some recent experience with this. And I'll tell you what, it's a beautiful thing when you actually see it. I have nothing left to give, God. Like, I can't anymore. And then God shows up and gives you exactly what you wanted, but maybe you didn't know you wanted it at the time. Can anyone else relate to what I'm talking about now? I bet, like, and you look back and you're like, holy, like you get exactly what you wanted, but it shows up in like a really unexpected way, or you had to kind of you had to walk through the fire to get to that place. I wish we were teaching people that. I wish we were teaching people that, like, your lowest lows are going to lead to your highest highs. And you're going to appreciate those highest highs much more because they came from your lowest lows. And if you never had the lowest lows in your life, if you never had the trauma, if you never had the heartbreak, if you never had the anger, if you never had, any of these things that make you feel like you're destroyed, right? You aren't going to fully appreciate the amazing gifts that life and God have for you. Because if everything is just nice all the time and beautiful all the time and perfect all the time, we don't really appreciate it. You cannot ever understand how amazing a hot shower is if you never had a cold shower in your life. And trust me, when your water heater breaks or your power goes out for a week, as it did the week before my wedding, and you have to take that cold shower, the next hot shower you take is going to seem like the most amazing GD shower you ever took in your life, because you're learning by comparison. You had the cold, and so the hot seemed even hotter and even nicer and even more healing than it did, even though you'd taken a million hot showers before. And the same is true when we hit our lowest lows, when more bullshit happens to us than we think we can handle. Well, guess what? That bullshit, if you allow it to, can lead to your highest highs again, and you're going to appreciate those highest highs a whole lot more because you had to crawl through the fucking mud to get there. And I wish we talked about this more. I seem to get canceled every time I talk about everything happening for a reason on the internet because someone takes offense to it. I'm looking at you, Libertarian Party Mises Caucus. Fuck you. The Libertarian Party Mises Caucus quite literally, like, canceled me because I had this conversation on the internet. Because I said that trauma leads us to like things that we're supposed to be doing in life. And I don't regret it at all, because if the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus cannot wrap their heads around the fact that these discussions need to happen and that they're valuable, then they can run around with all these influencers pretending to be perfect all the time and see how that gets them, see where that gets them. Wish them the best of luck. Anyway. I think that's a pretty good place to end the stream. We've been going for about 3 hours now. That was a fun stream to do. Did everyone have fun today? Please mount that like button for me if you had fun today. I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. for happy hour. I don't know what we're watching yet, but we'll watch a woke training from start to finish at 5 p.m. And guys, if you have not yet seen our last happy hour, then do make sure you head over to my Substack, which is Carlyn, Karlyn.substack.com. You can find a link in the description below. And check out the queer theology article. God is apparently very, very, very kinky. And God wants you to have a BDSM relationship with him, according to the queer theologist. And this literally came from the presentation we watched for last week's happy hour, which was crazy. And so that's the type of stuff we do on happy hour. We watch a woke training from start to finish, and we make fun of it, and we have some drinks, and we talk about it, and we learn what's really going on. And people who watch happy hour know more about what's going on the woke left than any other people on the internet. I firmly believe that. You can see an example of our last happy hour there. That stream, by the way, is still on the channel. If you want to go back and watch the last happy hour and experience the insanity as we all did, you're welcome to do that. But I did clip everything for you and break it down really nicely in that article. If you do want to support the work I'm doing, and thank you everyone who sent in the super chats today, I do really appreciate it. But if you want to support the work I'm doing, please consider becoming a monthly or annual member on my Substack. $5 a month, $50 a year. The money I make does get reinvested into doing things that will help expose what's going on the left in ways that, sometimes you need money to do things. It's just the way it goes. But $5 a month, $50 a year, I'm completely funded by you, so I don't have to take money from any of these political shilly organizations that are going to try to tell me what to say and what to do and say I can't talk about stuff on the internet that I want to talk about. Libertarian Party Mises Caucus, fuck you. And that would really help me out. But guys, I'll be back at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate it. We'll see you soon. Bye.